Men need to lower their standards on dating apps, new study shows. And I actually agree with Joker's analysis of this. They're right, but not for the reason they think they are. I'll get into that at the end. There's long been a theory that on dating apps, 80% of women are pursuing the top 20% of men. I mean, it's been proven true. It's not just a theory. But new research reveals it's actually the fellas who are aiming too high when swiping for love. Yeah, if you're a 5 and you're aiming for a 2, your standards are too high. And unironically, I'm not even joking. International researchers analyzed the behavior of almost 3,000 heterosexual users of a Czech dating app, and their findings published earlier this week in the PLOS One Urinal. Men tended to express interest in women who were more desirable than themselves, while women typically pursued men of more similar desirability. Let's not forget that the women are more interested in the money than anything else. Anyway, I'll hold my thought. To classify how desirable each user was, researchers counted the number of swipes they received from other people on the app. There were more male users, meaning that female users generally ranked more highly in this hierarchy. So you're saying that there's it's a women's market, at least on that app. They have their pick of whatever guy they want because there's way more men than women there. This is why they're actually right. Like, if you're a dude and you want to continue using these apps, then yeah, you should probably lower your standards, because unless you're an 11 out of 10 giga Chad, the women have better options than you on that site already. But the funny thing is, if we're not there now with some of these sites, we will be soon enough when the ratio flips, because guys are just walking away. Guys are just done playing the game. Despite being spoiled for choice, the research revealed that women sometimes chose slightly less desirable partners on average if they have the money. Like, if the below average guy is posing in front of a Ferrari, yeah, they'll do that. However, the study showed that successful matches tended to happen between people with similar levels of desirability. Thus, to avoid feeling frustrated and rejected when using dating apps, research suggests that men should be realistic about their own desirability and not attempt to date out of their league. Here's an alternative. Stop using these dog shit dating apps and just go overseas and date there. You're going to be able to get much better women. Our research on the Czech online dating app shows that while men often aim high when choosing whom to contact, successful matches tend to happen between people with similar levels of desirability. The pattern is actually largely the result of rejection rather than initial preference for similarity. Oh, I mean, that's true for women too. Like, notice that the older they get, they do eventually start lowering their standards. But the problem is, like, they're always like 10 years behind, aren't they? Like, when they're 40, they lower their standards to where they should have been at 30. So their standards are still too high. And then at 50, they lower their standards further to where they should have been at 40. So they're always behind. And yeah, men couldn't possibly lower the standards more than they already are. Yeah, so what is your average standard for men? She's not fat and not a total bitch. Those standards are too high for current year. Successful matching outcomes tend to align more closely with women's preferences than with men's. Well, that's because apparently these dating apps are still a women's market. That affects women's stronger position in the online dating market, as men outnumber women and are often expected to make the first move. Oh, that's changing though, because we're seeing a massive increase in videos of women crying and coping because men are just gone. Like, the men finally just threw their hands up and said, all right, 2D waifus for me. And that's why they're starting to attack 2D waifus so hard. Oh, to lower my standards anymore, I'd have to start grave robbing for dates. That might be a preferable option to what we got now. God, that does remind me, though, like that Dilbert comic that initially that I saw the comment on where they dropped the MGTOW label and I first learned what that was. Yeah, that was a Sunday strip of like Dilbert just getting wrecked in the dating market by meatbag thoughts. And then he built himself a robo waifu and Dogbert was laughing at him. And he's like, hey, it beats the alternative. Any hole is a goal is still too high. Yeah, if that's your goal, they're going to force you to start accepting Transformers next. Like, no, your standards aren't low enough. You could go lower. Yeah, when your standard is just be a woman and that's too high, why are you still dating in this soy society?